Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on English with Balaji. And in the Train the Trainer series, we have been talking to a lot of trainers and coaches, and we have been asking them about their training styles and handling a room full of college students. Usually, a college class strength is around 60 minimum. That's what I gather. And making sure all the 60 students pay attention to you, making sure that they get benefited from what you have to offer to them is a very daunting task, in my opinion. And uh, I get to train college students for a period of 10 days or so, but teaching them every day throughout the year, that is, in my opinion, a huge challenge. And if you're someone who got used to being in corporate, like our guest today, who has spent 15 years in the corporate world, that to 10 years as a delivery manager, who must have possibly had a hold over the subordinates. So there is appraisal. There are some tools and methods to hold people accountable, but when it comes to college, it's completely different, where of course they also have their internal marks and so on, but uh, to what extent are they aware of the seriousness, and if they are not interested, particularly when in today's world, when the attention span is good enough only for a 1 minute reel, how do you handle these classes is what we are going to learn about today. Our guest today has been very active, has had a very active corporate life, and then he moved into teaching to give back to the society. That's what I gathered when he moved into this field. He started as a trainer. He was training college students on placements and so on. He's an engineer, and he is an MBA graduate. And when he started teaching students, he became a student once again. We all are students for a lifetime, but he actually enrolled himself as a student and also completed his PhD. And within the last 5 to 6 years, if I am not wrong, he has completed his PhD. He has authored a book and co-authored another book, and he's now become a professor, a full-time professor for management students, particularly for marketing. He is the author of the book Gita Way of Life, and he has co-authored another book, Be Limitless, with Dr. Harsha Ishwaraya, and it happens to be the Amazon bestseller today. And he's also an award winning keynote speaker, teacher, trainer, mentor. He can fluently speak in five, sorry, five languages, and can sing in 9 languages. I have heard him sing, I have heard him speak, I have heard him deliver humorous speeches. He we I got to know him through a forum called Toastmasters International, which helps people to become better public speakers. It also helps them with a number of things. For me, it helped me to overcome my homesickness. That you have no clue it's going to offer to you. Though the primary aim is to help people with communication and leadership. So in that forum, I have seen our guest, Dr. Aurobindo Kiriyakare, as a very good humorous speaker who was always at the top three positions at the district level when it comes to the humorous speech contests, and he is also a good speech evaluator. And when I see his WhatsApp status, he has been a person to whom I could interact with when I share my self reflections based on his WhatsApp status without having to use any filters. Uh, we have such privilege only with some people, I believe. Without the fear of judgment, I could talk to him. With all that said, I welcome our guest, Dr. Aurobindo Kiriyakare. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you, Balaji. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate the invite and follow up. Though it was scheduled to happen a couple of days and it got rescheduled. Thank you very much for accommodation.
My
Um, uh,
pleasure.
Hello to all the listeners, viewers of the audio and the video. Balaji, it is 21 years of IT experience.
Wow. Wow. 2 decades, more than two
Yeah,
decades. Yeah.
today, more than two,
Wow.
and 8 years into teaching and training now.
8 years. Wow.
Yeah,
Lovely.
2018, I shifted gears from IT to teaching in 2018.
Okay. So, so if you're saying 21 plus 8, so you are going to complete 3 decades as a working professional
Next
in
April,
next April. Wow.
by next April, next
Wow.
April I'll complete 3 decades. Yeah.
Wow. So we are going to get all the insights that we can from 30 years of wisdom that Dr. Aurobindo has gathered. So, sir, to start with, what do you like about teaching college students?
Huh. Well, that's a very interesting question to start off with, Balaji. The thing is, as you rightly mentioned, Gen Zs, and my son also happens to be a Gen Z. So sometimes I pick on his brain to know a little bit about the inside workings of a Gen Z when it comes to attention span and so on. And I use those tips and insights to my advantage. What is challenging about what do you like what do I like about teaching college students? These guys are young, they are bubbling with energy and enthusiasm, and they have no idea how to channelize that energy and how to put that to good use and how to apply that. Right. So the challenge or what I like about teaching them is giving them real world, real life experience from my life. So they like that a lot. And I make sure that I use my public speaking abilities, like you mentioned, evaluation, table topics, and humorous speaking, and all those things into a storytelling format,
Hmm.
bits and pieces, bits and bytes that they can easily swallow. And I'm not giving them gyan
Hmm.
like we used to receive, when we were students 25, 30 years ago.
No, well, so yes, I think the word lecturer was also associated with giving lectures rather than a
Exactly.
participative class. How do you encourage your students to participate in the class?
How do I encourage students? See, let me go back to my childhood and probably your childhood. You're little much younger than me, but nevertheless, you see, we our childhood, Balaji, was completely distinct in terms of how we would behave with our friends and peers and people of our same age versus how we behave in front of adults, right? So it was like in front of my parents and all those things, I was a very strict, silent guy. And just outside my parents' home and with my friends, I am this non-stop talkative person. Now, not that I'm having a what do you call a Remo syndrome
Mm,
of Vikram, right?
yeah.
We had clearly the distinct part of it. Now, coming to Gen Z, these Gen Zs, I will not say problem, but then again, the reality of these Gen Zs is mostly they are single kids
Hmm.
or maximum two, and 90% of them or above are from nuclear families. They neither know their maternal grandparents or paternal grandparents. I'm consciously using this term, they know. Why? Because for them, maternal grandparents and paternal grandparents are only once in a year fixer, 1 week, 3 days vacation types. So we grew up, if you remember yourself and me, we grew up with maternal and paternal grandparents on a daily basis. We knew what it was to share with Pati and Tata every day,
Hmm.
right? So these people don't know. So with that said, what happens with these Gen Z kids, Balaji, is that they are absolutely okay with an adult supervising them all the time because they're used to that. So they're okay to express themselves freely. They're okay to behave themselves normally the way they do in front of an adult, which you and I find it little surprising because that is not how we grew up.
Hmm.
So now you need to understand this shift, this transition of the growing up of these kids. Now, when that happens, they're okay being in front of an adult and expressing themselves openly. As an adult, what we should do is, oh my God, are you talking to me like this? No, we should not be. The moment you say that, number one, and number two, the most hated expression that they find from people of our age is, back when I was your age, or when I was a student, and they're like, oh my God, no. Don't do that, because they know that the moment you do that, you are getting into lecture mode, rave mode, rant mode. They don't
Hmm.
like that. So you should engage them at an individual level, because they are okay to be supervised by an adult all the time. So you be that adult, you be that responsible adult, and let them be who they are, Gen Zs.
Wonderful. It's an interesting perspective. We know a little bit about what not to do, but what takes them off, but we don't see that their perspective is not wrong. we
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That is where I've seen, like, oh, are you talking back to me like this? Oh, you have an attitude problem. They don't see that as an attitude problem. They see that as a dialogue. They see that as an interaction. Sir, you're expressing yourself. I'm expressing myself. What's wrong with that? Now,
yes.
the moment you disrespect that and say, you're talking back to the teacher, I am the teacher, I am the one with experience here, you listen to what I say, they switch off, they turn off, and they'll never come back to you.
Huh. I agree. So, well, sir, when it comes to the biggest challenge that you have had with teaching college students, what do you think that is?
Biggest challenge, you already mentioned, number one, Balaji, that is the attention spans.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, 30 seconds, 50 seconds, reels, 59-second reels, Instagrams, and so on and so forth. So, how to deal with that? Let me tell you how to deal with that. So, you should pack your message in a clear storytelling format, exactly 59 seconds. Land on
Hmm.
the story, move on to the next story, land on the story, move on to the next story. You get into this soliloquy, independent individual dialogue with yourself, and and expect them to listen to you. No, they're not going to do that. So I have 1 hour of lecture every day, and this is how I break it down. I break it down to 15 minutes, 4 slots. In
Hmm.
the first 15 minutes, how many slides I have to cover? Next 15 minutes, next 15 minutes, next 15 minutes. Within that 15 minutes, let us say if I have to cover 3 slides or 4 slides, give them examples. They love examples. They have seen so much, you have no idea, of life. Why? Because they are born into Google and smartphone and AI. Please remember that. And do not disrespect that. At the touch of a button, they have access to black holes and cosmos and universe and solar eclipse and all those things, but they have no idea what it means, because they have too much knowledge. They have acquired too much knowledge with zero effort.
Hmm.
Now, where does that knowledge go? It has to come out. It has to be applied. How it has to be applied is what needs to be shown. So this is where the power of storytelling and the power of examples come into play. And when I do that, every 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, every 15 minutes, I ask at least 5 to 6 questions. Have you done this? Have you seen this? Have you experienced this? Oh, yes, yes, yes. Oh, yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're right. You're right. I've seen that, sir. Sir, I've seen my friend do that. Okay. You know what that means? No, sir. That means this behavior. And then show them the
Hmm.
slide. They relate very quickly. Instead of that, you are muggifying whatever is there in the textbook or a research paper that you went through and try to pass that off as lecture. They will say, sir, send the PPT, we can also read it ourselves.
Hmm. Hmm.
That is what to do and what not to do in the same answer, Balaji.
So, for a trainer to be able to do that before uh, he or she shows the slide, they should know the content like
Yes.
the back of their hand.
Yes, yes, because they view you as someone senior. They view you as someone with lots of experience. And within 5 minutes, within 10 minutes, if they know that what you know can be easily obtained from ChatGPT or Google, they
Hmm.
will say to hell with you. I'll sit only for the sake of attendance.
Hmm.
So I always remind them at least twice in 1 hour session that, boss, whatever I know is not available in any book in the library,
Hmm.
because I've lived through that experience. I've gone through that experience. I know what it means. I came back, I survived to tell you all these stories, because nobody told us these things when I was your age. That they relate to very well, saying, okay, this person is trying to give us something of value,
Hmm.
that we should listen to him. Because if you don't establish that connect, no Balaji, they will say, sir, send the PPT, we will read it ourselves, or send the important things, we will chat GPT it ourselves and get it done.
Hmm.
Again, That is half knowledge. Why? Because they do not have validation mechanism as to whatever ChatGPT vomited. Is that true? They don't know that. Now, who do they validate with?
Mm.
Obviously you. And you have shut that door by saying, I am superior, you're inferior, I am the teacher, you listen to me. Then where do they go? That half-baked knowledge starts growing stronger and can lead to disastrous consequences in the future.
Mm.
No?
And this brings me to another important question. Um, Unfortunately, sometimes teachers and trainers feel that their ego is hurt when the students ask certain questions, which make them tongue tied or for which they don't have answers to at the moment, or which makes them feel like maybe they shared something wrong and so on. What should be a trainer's approach to a student's question, irrespective of the tone, age, all those factors?
Very good. Fantastic question. You know, another trait of Gen Zs that I've observed over the last 8 years, Balaji, they ask a lot of questions and for good reason.
Hmm.
Why? Because when you and I were growing up, we were not allowed to ask all these questions. You know, we were told you are not supposed to talk back to elders and seniors, respect them, obey them, and so on and so forth. So what I do consciously to tell them that just because I'm fat, I'm old, and I'm bald, don't take that whatever comes out of my mouth is Veda Vakya.
Hmm.
Question yourself, question me, question my understanding. Now, not everybody can have that level of confidence and say, question me, because
Hmm.
they can throw anything at you. Now, this is where my table topics and Toastmasters experience comes into play. Any question that is thrown at me, I will take it as a table topic, but with an opening body and a conclusion. 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, they get the answer in a short reel format.
Superb.
Now, how I relate that, how I convert that into storytelling and all those things, that is the skill that I've sharpened, I've bettered, and I've mastered in Toastmasters, Balaji. I cannot thank enough.
Um,
So when they throw a googly at you, you catch that and say, fantastic question.
hmm.
You know what? You don't know the answer? Perfectly fine. Convert that into humorous table topics and say, hey, can you meet me after the class? We'll discuss. That's one way of dodging. Second, hey, fantastic question. You know what? Unfortunately, I'm not getting the right examples to convince you. Why don't I get back to you? Number two. Number three, can you message me or can you email me the question so that you can buy some time? You don't have to put yourself on the spot and try to blabber something
Yep.
which you might regret later. It could be incorrect or it could be wrong. Or if you don't know, this is where ego comes into play. Huh? Are you asking me? Who are you to ask me? What is your experience? I say, will throw the conversation off track, which
Hmm.
is of no use to anybody, including you.
Sir, as you mentioned this word ego, I think I would like your insights on this. I have heard about this from some people. It is not just that I know everything. That is not the only thing that we consider as ego. Ego is everything you know is a ego. You just shut that ego of whatever you know, whatever you're good at, and all that aside, as if you act like a person you do not know anything and listen to what comes your way. So this is one aspect of ego that I have understood by talking to some people. As you have been into Gita and many other spiritual aspects as well, can you throw some light on what is ego and how to not let it affect us? I think it's going to be there, but how to not let it affect us?
Very good. This reminds me of a quote from one of my professors of economics 32 years ago. He passed away, called Dr. Seshadri. In every class, invariably, he would say a lot of things. I remember a lot of things, statements that Seshadri sir made, but this particular statement really hits me very hard. And he would do it every class. The world of ignorance will always be bigger than the world of knowledge. He would put a dot on the board and draw a big circle around it whenever he said that statement, and said, pointing to the dot, saying, this is what you know, and pointing to the big circle, saying, this is what you don't know. That is all he would say. In one time, one class, every class, he will say that statement for sure. He'll put a dot, he'll put a circle, dot, he'll say, this is what you know, and the circle, he will say, this is what you don't know. And hence, the world of ignorance will always be bigger than the world of knowledge. Now, so as a trainer, okay, first let me talk about as a trainer, then let me talk about as a teacher. Now, as a trainer, you set the expectations upfront. Number one, would you like to be interrupted during the flow if someone has a question? Or do you want to have a Q&A at the end? Or you want to let them connect with you offline, saying during the break time, coffee, tea break, lunch break types? You set that expectation first. Number two, just because I'm standing on this side of the podium does not make me a learned person than you. Perhaps some of you may know better than me. All I'm telling you is that you already know, but you don't know that you already know.
Hmm.
And this is a journey of discovery. Come, let us discover, both of us. These two, as a trainer, and I do that as a teacher also, sets the tone saying, okay, this person is not someone who is on high on a pedestal. This person also is someone like us. And this person comes from amongst us, and he has already acknowledged that I already know.
Hmm.
So the ego balances out. Number
Absolutely.
two, I will tell, I put the circle, I put the dot, I use the same Seshadri sir model, saying this is what I know and this is what I don't know. Come, let us discover together. They will say, sir, you don't know this also. Sir, let me explain, sir. They feel very happy. I said, boss, go ahead, explain. And then when they explain that concept, from there, I will link it back to the theory. I will link it back to the theory. I will link it back to the subject. How do I link it back? Again, table topics. I link it back to the theory. I link it back to the topic and syllabus. And they say, look, you already know. This is what I said. You already know, but you didn't know that you know. I am just unveiling it. That's my job today. So the moment it says, it becomes a level playing field. Okay, here is a guy who is not fat, not old, but also bald, who's got a lot of experience. But then again, he says he's like us and he behaves like us. Then it equalizes. Then sometimes you cannot do that with training participants, but you can do that in a classroom. I can lose my temper, I can shout, I can yell, and guess what? They won't mind at all. Otherwise, they're very quick to escalate to the dean and to the vice chancellor and say, hey, this person shouts a lot, this person scolds us.
Hmm.
They're very quick.
Yeah.
To me, in the last 8 years, I've scolded them badly, but not in an insulting, humiliating way, but in a learning way, saying, boss, if you don't mend this attitude as a manager, how I'm going to punish you? If you don't address this issue as an employer, how I'm going to punish you? And what will be the consequences of this behavior?
Hmm.
Why? Because simply they do not know. That's
Hmm.
it. But other than that, you try to rub on their ego. Oh, with that attitude, you'll think you will become successful in life. You will always be
Hmm.
a failure. That is insulting. That is humiliating. Don't do that. Because these kids, Gen Z kids, they're very, very sensitive. The moment
Hmm.
you say that you're a failure, you're a loser, and all those things, they take it to the heart very seriously.
Hmm.
Right? Because they're not used to that language. Why? I already told you. Either they are only kids in the house, or maybe two siblings, and they have never met their grandparents. So their threshold of handling pain, their threshold of handling anxiety, their threshold of handling, frustration is very low.
Hmm.
You should be the guiding light for them, and they look up to you because you are senior to them in education and experience, and you start humiliating them.
Hmm.
They got no place else to go.
True. Sir, when it comes to the AI tools, what are your thoughts about uh, AI tools in general, particularly for teachers and trainers? What does it mean?
Now, particularly teachers and trainers, let me talk about particularly teachers and trainers, then talk about from the students' perspective.
Mm,
Now, particularly from teachers and trainers' perspective, everybody knows everybody is using AI. There are
mm,
tons of tools, quick notebook LLM, and Claude, and Gemini, and Anthrop, and ChatGPT, what have you, and so on and so forth. Guess what I do? I tell them that I'm going to evaluate you on your usage of AI also, because I know for a fact that for a student who does not open his mouth other than saying present sir when called in attendance, suddenly produces a 15-page written document overnight. I don't think so. Right? So I know, and you know, and they know. Now, what do? I tell them saying at the end, put which Gen AI you used and what are the prompts you used. Okay. So when I evaluate them, I look at their prompts also. And guess what? These prompts are very, very fundamental, primitive. What is this? Difference of this and that? Give me the best of this, the top five of this. I said, boss, then without showing the student, without insulting the student, I show them on the screen in the class and said, boss, these are Google level prompts here. You can get these answers from Google also. So what are you using Gen AI for? Number one. Number two, I know that you're using Gen AI. And tomorrow I'm your CEO, tomorrow I'm your employer. I know that you're using Gen AI. Can I not use it myself? Then why should I pay you 5 lakhs? What value are you bringing even when you're using Gen AI? I leave them with that question. So the next time, see, obvious reasons, Balaji, I cannot share how to use Gen AI. You know why? They will use it back to me. No, that's why I don't teach them. But then again, I tell them this is called prompt engineering. Sir,
mm,
what is prompt engineering? Now I triggered you. Go back and find out. Go research on it and get better with it. That's how I trigger them and leave them on that path. And you know what? Out of 60, 5, 10 of them, they really catch that message.
mm,
Obviously, right? The top performers, the middle know it, and the bottom 10 laggards, the bell curve, typical bell curve. That happens in a 60 student setup. So
mm,
5, 10 of them really sharp kids. They find out, they come back to staff room and say, sir, you told that day this, I tried this, and this is what it came out. I said, good. Now you learned. Now get better at it. Now get better at it.
mm.
Because if I tell them in the class, they will use it on me only. How to use Gen AI, they will. My next assignment will be how to use Gen AI as taught by Aurobindo sir. I give it back to him, which I don't want.
Uh, sir, when it comes to the postgraduate students in particular, I think I tend to think a lot of them have a tendency to think whatever they do is not going to be enough, particularly because AI is changing things every day. So, and they see around them, not literally, but then on LinkedIn and Instagram and places like that, and they see a lot of their peers seem to be overachieving. So how should students handle this?
Well, unfortunately, for us, I mean, for them, and fortunately for us, what happens is when this 60-second reel and the Instagram culture and short reels and all those things, it has brought in a subconscious culture of comparison,
Hmm.
right? I'm
Hmm.
not good enough, I'm not good looking, and I'm not
Hmm.
beautiful, skin complexion and hair and what have you, and restaurant and vacation and whatnot. You tend to compare, you tend to compare, you tend to compare. Now, this is what I try to break it in the class, saying, look, do not compare yourself.
Hmm. Hmm.
There will be, and my favorite example is my 5 fingers.
Hmm.
Are they same? No. If all the 5 fingers are of the same dimension, 95% of your daily tasks you cannot do. You need all the 5 fingers of different dimensions in different positions, the way it is designed by the universe.
Hmm.
I use this analogy a lot. Number one. Number two, when I give group assignments and so on and so forth to bring in a culture of teaming and team work and all those things, I tell them, I will break you down into groups. I will not allow you to form your own groups. And some of them question why. I said, fantastic. Because when you join an organization, the HR says, you join this team, you join that team. Can you question? You cannot question. So to get used to this culture, of working with different people. Sir, I'm the only boy, the rest of them are girls. Sir, I'm the only girl, the rest of them are boys. Sir, I'm from south of India. I don't know any South Indian language. I'm a North Indian. Sir, all of them are North Indians. I'm the only South Indian. I don't care because your organization doesn't care. You can't work with people. I will tell you simply, there is the door. Please walk out. I'll hire somebody else for 5,000 rupees less than you. I keep hitting this nail in every class. They get the culture of working with people. Then what happens is, okay, sir, some of them are slow. We are catching up, and we are pulling he or she along so that he or she doesn't get left out. Otherwise, these left outs will always be left outs.
Mm.
Then they will get back to that tendency of what you said, underachievers and comparison and all those things, right? So this is how you dispel them. Because if you say, I'm going to break it down to teams, why, sir? Why can't we form our own teams? Huh? Are you talking back to me? What ego you have? What attitude you are showing? It doesn't help anywhere. Look, in real world, you don't get the luxury of choosing your own teams. I'm making you get used to it. Now get used to it. Use this classroom as a simulation for bigger things in life. That's how I start. That's how I set the expectations. In all the classes, it becomes much easier for me to run the class like a corporate training session and expect 60 students, pin drop silence also.
Wonderful. So, and when you have this, as when you trained people in corporates, you would have had 20 participants in the training session, and 20 to 60 is a huge shift. And
Yeah.
the age difference, the responsibilities, everything is completely different here. How to make sure the students sail along with the teacher, which is a very daunting task for many people, particularly if they have been only teaching, and sometimes people have given up at some point in time. I am getting salary, so I'll give my lecture for the salary that I'm getting to do justice to that. Whether you travel with me or not, I am not worried. So I have seen teachers who have come to that level, but there must be something we can do about this.
Fantastic question, Balaji. Yes, that is true. Also, beyond a point of time, people tend to give up, though it's not, a reality throughout as such. But
Mm,
nevertheless, you do a bare minimum to just to keep your job and
mm,
paycheck as well, right? So you do that in any field, not just in teaching alone, even
mm,
in IT or any other
correct.
field that you can think of. Nevertheless, but how to do that is, motivating yourself
Mm,
as a trainer, as a teacher, saying it's not just about what you teach in the class,
mm,
it's about walking the talk. Are you behaving in a way that they look up to you?
mm,
Are you maintaining that professional dignity, professional honor, and professional integrity that you talk of in the class? When I'll give a simple example. When I'm saying that, hey, if you do this, I'm going to mark you absent. Okay, that student learns to fear you. And let us say you don't mark absent. Second time you say the same thing. Third time you say the same thing. Does your word carry weight?
mm,
They figure out. And they know that the word does not carry weight. They will take you for granted.
mm,
And when they take you for granted, obviously you also have to take them for granted. So when you have to be strict, you have to be strict. When you have to be
mm,
not strict, you need not be strict.
mm,
But they should get a message like a parent and a child that there are some lines that you don't cross. And when you do, there are going to be consequences. Don't tell them that I'm going to punish you this way, that way, horrible things and negative things. Don't. Boss, there will be consequences. What? You will find out when you cross the line. So they know that there is a line and they know they're not supposed to cross it. They don't know what consequences are going to be and they don't want to know. Right? Because we have a policy. First hour, 5 minutes late only allowed. Sometimes couple of minutes plus or minus 3, 4 minutes, I make an exception. Fine. And sometimes let us say I let somebody in after 10 minutes. So tomorrow I lose that credibility to strictly enforce 5 minutes because the Day after, somebody is going to question me, sir, that day you allowed her 10 minutes late, why are you not allowing me?
Mm.
Right? So these are all the small things, as they say, Balaji, it is not the size of the mountain that kills you. It is the size of the pebble in your shoe that kills you, that causes you more pain.
Wow. I mean, beautifully put. That the
So
pain is caused.
are you willing to put up with small skirmishes like that every day? I don't think
Mm.
so. Not worth it. Then when they know, okay, here is a man, he does what he say, and he says what he does. So that
Mm.
transparency is maintained, that becomes quite easy to handle. So I'm sure, like you said, a lot of people reporting to me in corporate life and all those things. This is exactly how I behaved when I was a manager also.
Mm.
North Indian, South Indian, I speak Kannada, I speak Tamil, Malayalam. No, none of that would work with me. And regardless of, I knew everybody's mother tongue in my team, but I would not speak because somebody else should not say that, okay, oh, he knows all the language of South, so he interacts only with, gels well with South Indians. No, I do not want that. So maintain neutrality, maintain transparency, maintain accountability, hold yourself to account. When you're wrong, when you apologize. For example, there was a student and he was checking the mobile phone and I snapped just like that. And I went into a rant mode for about 5 to 7 minutes, saying, "Boss, this is not acceptable." I felt bad. Saying after I went back to staff room, I said, "Okay, maybe I should not have been so harsh." And guess what? The next day, I met him in the corridor. I said, "I'm sorry." He said, "No, sir, it's okay, sir. I understand." That also did not sit well with me. I said, "Look, I humiliated him in front of the whole class, so I cannot apologize to him in the corridor when nobody was witness." Right? So I went back to the class the third day. I stood him up and I said, so and so, I'm so sorry. Sir, you already apologized to me. No, why are you apologizing again? I said, look, I apologized to you in private. Nobody was witness, but I scolded you in public. So my apology also has to be in public. So this will have a cascading effect, a domino effect on all the other students saying, okay, here is a man of his word. Here is a man of his integrity. Here is a man of his accountability. So if
Mm.
he does wrong, he apologizes. So I better not do anything wrong because he's going to grab my throat.
Mm.
They get that message. So then it becomes not too difficult to deal with them or to work with them because nobody told them all these things, right? Because I told you they're born into Google and AI and all those things. And what they did, my father is scolding me, what should I do? Google throws up some crap, Gen AI throws up some crap, and they believe that crap is true. Now, what to do,
Mm.
right?
Thank you very much for sharing that. All right, sir. Not some, one question that I have often wanted to ask you. Which role do you think is your favorite? An IT professional or a teaching professional at a college?
Well, both have their own shares of ups and downs, as I've seen life closely, Balaji. But nevertheless, today, if I can call myself successful in terms of teaching and training, it is because of my experience in IT, working with different nationalities in the US and India, and working with people from all geographies except for the African geography. Americans, Canadians, Australians, Europeans, you name them, I worked with them. What works, what does not work, how to maintain relationships, client engagement, relationships, project management, delivery management, people management, and like you said, assessments, performance appraisals in every January, and so on and so forth. I've done all of that. And it has shaped me, my thought process, and especially working with softwares, how each software works, what is compliant, what is not compliant, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, quality, delivery, time management, all these things. I am here because of my IT experience. And the only thing that I'm doing it or using my skills differently is that I'm blending in with all my knowledge and experience and so on and so forth, my public speaking, my spirituality, my Gita, my project management, everything is coming together on a daily basis. And I am reaping the benefits of it big time. That's all I can say.
So, well, that as you mentioned about reaping the benefits, I suddenly thought I would ask ask you this question. What are you grateful for?
What am I grateful for? I'm grateful for life itself and the challenges that it brings and the universe that it manifests when you ask for something with the purest of intentions and all these things put together. Because every night I sleep, I'm thankful for the universe waking me up next morning because millions of people won't wake up to see the sunrise the next morning, right? So that's a fact. And that is what I keep telling my students also. And my favorite statement with my students, among many other statements that I make on a daily basis, is time is infinite. Your time is not. My time is not. So when I say that, they really have this taken aback feeling on their face. I'm like, oh my God, yes, that's true. So I inculcate the habit of discipline. I inculcate the habit of being on time to the class and all those things. They tell me openly on their face, sir, only for your class we keep running. For all the class we keep walking in. I said, boss, don't do that. Do it for everybody, or don't do it for only for me. I said, no, sir. Nobody talks about time management like you do. So we only heard of time management from other students from other semesters. Now we are seeing this in action. So I'm very, very particular and finicky about seconds and minutes because I tell them that you hold seconds and minutes, days and weeks will take care of themselves.
Mm, mm,
So they get that. And once they complete the course, they message me back saying, sir, I'm working in Accenture or Deloitte or Infosys or whatever. And then they say, sir, my manager called for a meeting and I know exactly what was the meeting for and what is he going to scold and how. And exactly like you do it in the class only, sir, he did. I said, boss, I come from that background only. So I know what to say as a manager as well, right? So
Wonderful.
that validates my sharings with them.
Great. Sir, I also wanted to ask you 10 years down the line, what do you think will be expected from trainers and teachers, teaching professionals?
Uh, I don't even want to go 10 years because the next 2, 3 years are going to be itself very challenging.
I
Why?
agree.
Because as much as we are seeing the influx of AI
Hmm.
and the power of AI, and guess what? We have not even scratched the surface of AI of A,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so-called is Gen AI, Chat GPT, they are not even AI. They are at the bottom end of AI called large language models. So as
Hmm.
we go higher up from there to machine learning to natural language processing and deep learning and what have you, nobody has a clue. I don't think even Sundar
Hmm.
Pichai has a clue as to what AI can, what AI can't at this point of time, because there are so many stories that we keep hearing about AI in Meta and AI in Apple and AI in Amazon and so on, right? So the effects are there already. Forget
Hmm.
about 10 years down the line. We are seeing not 3 digits, not 4 digits. We are seeing 5 digit layoffs every day,
Hmm.
right? So that being the case, practically there will be not much of any area that will be left untouched by AI.
Hmm.
Now, my students ask this question all the time. So my answer is this, saying if you know only one thing and that only one thing that you can do better, trust me, within 6 months, AI will learn it and throw you out.
Hmm.
So the key is to expose yourself to different experiences, to different knowledges and different bodies of knowledge, different streams of experience, and so on and so forth. And what you do with it, and how well you're able to blend that with theory and practical. And it is like that roadside tea shop. You blend and see what happens,
Hmm.
and so on and so forth. Then you are relatively safer.
Hmm.
I know only order processing. I know only how to enter. I know only that data entry. Trust me, 6 months, 9 months, you're out.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, when I say, when a question is thrown at AI, the way AI answers, I tell the students also the same thing, right, Balaji? I said, AI will answer you only as much as it is fed.
Ah.
What if five different theories of learning or five different personalities of psychology is not fed to it? How are you to take that the answer that is coming out of AI is sacrosanct?
Hmm.
You cannot, because it will only regurgitate what it has been fed to it. No,
Yeah.
what if it's not been fed at all? How do you treat it? So I will tell my students this: don't outsource your thinking to AI.
Ah.
Use it, but don't outsource your thinking. And especially on subjects that you don't know, Never ever touch AI. Why? Because you don't know, there is no way for you to validate. And
Mm.
again, I'm like I said, I'm good with analogies and examples, right? So I will tell analogy of this. Sir, I am a cook. Okay, very good. What cook are you? Sir, I know South Indian dishes. Fantastic. Now, this person who is good in South Indian dishes, idli, vada, rava, paisam, because his title is cook, suddenly asked to dish out a Thai or a Mexican or a Punjabi item. Can they do that? They cannot, because they're exposed only to South Indian idli, vada, sambar. Now, oh, you're a cook. Why don't you do it? No, boss, that's not possible. Just likewise, when you don't know, don't outsource your thinking to AI, because there is no way for you to validate whether you did this, what AI is throwing at you is right or not. So think, but don't outsource your thinking.
Interesting. So, as you mentioned about learning different things, I'd like to know what are you learning now?
What am I learning now? I'm learning prompt engineering. I'm learning AI in terms of how to harness the power of AI to make the classrooms more impactful, to make the interactions more meaningful, and the whole environment, how AI can turn it around, helping me in terms of generating quizzes sometimes, or assessment instructions, because I give the instructions and it just
Mm.
polishes my instructions back so that there is no ambiguity and I validate them very, very well. Sometimes breaks down a complex task, theory or a subject matter for me, makes it easy for me to relate, so that I will use that in my class as an example. And then they say, hey, here is an analogy.
Mm.
And for the most part, I'm not doubting or I'm not blaming AI as such. It is all well researched papers only. Sometimes it hallucinates, so you have to challenge the AI to get
Mm.
better at it and so on and so forth. That will come when you place human intelligence as superior to artificial intelligence. So this is my another favorite statement that I keep telling in my class. There is a reason why it is called artificial intelligence, because it is supposed to be artificial. You, my dear friends or my dear students, are superior. Don't you ever forget that. Or else they're going to fall prey or victim to AI and said, this is what AI told me. I said, who told you that AI, whatever AI tells you is true?
Yeah,
Where is your intelligence?
agreed. So, thank you so much. That there's a lot of eye-opening. That there has been a lot of eye-opening moments in today's interview. But before I say thank you, I would, if you don't mind, as
Yeah,
you are also a wonderful singer, if you don't mind, I would like to hear
yeah,
a
sure.
few words, a few lines. Sorry.
You tell me which language you want, Balaji.
So let's go with our. We met in Bangalore, and you speak Kannada as your first language. Let's hear something in Kannada.
Okay. Mm. Uh, Difficult to pick, but nevertheless, since I am a devotee of SP Balasubramaniam, obviously I'm going to pick a song of his. Um, ಜೊತೆಯಲಿ ಜೊತೆಯಲಿ ಇರುವೆನು ಹೀಗೆ ಎಂದು ಹೊಸ ಹರುಷವ ತರುವೆನು ಇನ್ನು ಎಂದು ಓ ಎಂಥ ಮಾತಾಡಿದೆ ಇಂದು ನೀ ಎಂಥ ಮಾತಾಡಿದೆ ನನ್ನ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನ ಭಾವನೆ ನೀನೆ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಜೊತೆಯಲಿ ಜೊತೆಯಲಿ ಇರುವೆನು ಹೀಗೆ ಎಂದು.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much for that lovely singing and for all your wonderful answers and for reiterating to us that Gen Z has a different perspective and it need not be considered wrong. It just needs to be welcomed, embraced, and the society is going to keep changing whether we like it or not. And we were not the same as our previous generation was, and the upcoming generations wouldn't be the same as well. uh, Thank you for sharing these insights for trainers, students, and even some insights that are applicable for everyone, like your take on ego and many other factors as well. Thanks a lot for your time and your insightful answers.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Balaji.
Thank you so much.